In the heart of the city, where the lights flickered like stars in a velvet sky, the Black Orchid Club stood as a beacon of allure and danger. Inside, the air hummed with the energy of ambition and desire, a world where dreams could soar or shatter within the blink of an eye. It was here that Aria, a talented dancer known for her captivating performances, made her living. Each evening, she transformed into a whirlwind of grace and strength, her body moving to the rhythm of the music, embodying passion and freedom. But beneath the surface of her art laid a fragile balance, a constant negotiation between her aspirations and the lurking shadows of the Mafia that haunted the city. Aria had always dreamed of dancing on grand stages, her name whispered in awe, but the reality of her career was a delicate dance of survival. She had learned to navigate the treacherous waters of the elite, performing for those who held both power and peril in their hands. The club was a sanctuary and a prison, a place where she felt alive yet acutely aware of the dangers that surrounded her. Each performance was a leap of faith, a chance to escape her worries for a few fleeting moments. Yet, as the lights dimmed and the spotlight focused on her, she couldn't shake the feeling that danger lurked just beyond the velvet curtains. One fateful night, as Aria prepared for her performance, she caught a glimpse of a figure seated at a secluded table in the corner. Dressed in a tailored suit, he exuded an aura of authority that sent a shiver down her spine. His presence was magnetic, drawing her gaze like a moth to a flame. This man was not just another patron, he was Julian Romano, the infamous Mafia boss known for his cold demeanor and ruthless reputation. Rumors had long circulated about his dealings, power plays, betrayals, and the price of loyalty. Aria had heard stories of his empire, a web of influence that extended far beyond the city's borders. She had never imagined she would be so close to a man of his caliber, a man whose very name could strike fear into the hearts of others. As she took the stage, Aria felt the weight of his eyes on her, igniting a fire within her. She danced with abandon, pouring her heart into each movement, the music flowing through her veins. But as she twirled and leaped, she could not shake the sense of being watched. There was something unnerving yet exhilarating about the way he observed her, as if he could see beneath her carefully crafted facade. The chemistry in the air was palpable, a tension that thrummed like a live wire, drawing her closer to the edge of something unknown. Before you skip, just remember, channels like this only survive if you hit subscribe. Otherwise, stories like this one just disappear. As the final notes of her performance echoed through the club, Aria took a breath, her heart racing. She was aware that she had captivated the audience, but it was Julian's gaze that lingered in her mind. The moment their eyes met, a flicker of recognition sparked between them, a connection that transcended words. There was danger in it, a warning she couldn't ignore, yet she was inexplicably drawn to him. The world around them faded, leaving only the two of them suspended in time. After the performance, while the crowd buzzed with excitement, Aria found herself retreating to the back of the club, seeking solace in the shadows. She needed a moment to collect herself, to shake off the lingering sensation of Julian's intense scrutiny. The walls seemed to close in around her, and she leaned against the cool surface, taking deep breaths to steady her racing heart. But the sanctuary of solitude was short-lived. The door creaked open, and in stepped Julian, his presence commanding the space. He moved with an undeniable confidence, each step deliberate as he approached her. Aria's pulse quickened, and she fought the urge to step back. He was closer now, and the air between them crackled with tension. "Impressive," he said, his voice deep and smooth, each word laced with an intensity that sent shivers down her spine. "You have a rare talent." "Thank you," she replied, her voice barely above a whisper. She struggled to maintain her composure, acutely aware of the danger that came with this encounter. "I just do what I love." He studied her for a moment, those piercing blue eyes searching her face as if trying to decipher a secret. "You're more than just a dancer, Arya. There's fire in you, but fire can burn." She felt a chill run through her, his words hanging heavy in the air. "I'm not looking for trouble," she said, her heart pounding. "I just want to dance." "And yet, trouble seems to find you," he replied, a hint of amusement in his tone. "You should be more careful. People like me don't just watch from the sidelines." His presence was overwhelming, and Arya could feel the weight of his world pressing down on her. "What do you mean?" she asked, her curiosity mingling with apprehension. He stepped closer, the distance between them evaporating. "You perform in a place where the elite and the dangerous intertwine. You may not realize it yet, but you've caught the attention of those who would use you for their own gain." Arya swallowed hard, a sense of dread pooling in her stomach. "I can take care of myself," she asserted, though she wasn't entirely convinced. Julian smirked, the corner of his lips curving in a way that both intrigued and frightened her. "I have no doubt, but sometimes it's not enough. Sometimes you need someone to watch your back." Before she could respond, a commotion erupted outside the back door, shattering the charged moment between them. Voices rose in anger, shouts echoing through the corridor. Arya's instincts kicked in, and she took a step back, her heart racing. "What's happening?" she asked, her voice taut with anxiety. Julian's expression hardened as he turned towards the noise. "Stay here," he commanded, his tone leaving no room for argument. As he moved past her, the tension in the air shifted. Arya watched as he disappeared into the chaos, his presence both a source of comfort and danger. She couldn't shake the feeling that she was standing at the precipice of something monumental, something that could change her life in ways she couldn't yet comprehend. Moments later, Julian returned, his demeanor transformed. The calm confidence he had exuded moments ago was replaced by an intensity that made her heart race. He had a way of commanding the room, leaving no doubt of his authority. "Everything's fine," he said, though the sharpness in his voice suggested otherwise. "But you need to come with me." "Why?" she asked, defiance rising in her chest. "Because I can't let you stay here," he replied, his eyes locking onto hers. "Not with everything happening around you right now. You're safer with me." Arya felt a thrill of panic surge through her. "I don't even know you. How can I trust you?" Julian took a step closer, his gaze unwavering. "You don't have to trust me, but you need to understand that there are forces at play that you can't begin to fathom. I won't let anything happen to you." His words resonated within her, igniting a flicker of something she couldn't quite place, an instinctual pull towards him. There was danger, yes, but there was also a strange sense of security in his offer. The weight of the world outside felt heavier now, and she knew she was standing on the edge of a precipice. "Fine," she said, her voice trembling slightly, "but I want answers." Julian nodded, a flicker of approval crossing his features. "You'll get them, but first, let's get you out of here." As they moved through the club, Arya's heart raced with each step. The world was shifting beneath her, and she was teetering dangerously close to the edge of the unknown. The thrill of danger mingled with the fear of what lay ahead, and as they stepped into the cool night air, she realized that her life would never be the same again. The streets were alive with the sounds of the city, the distant hum of cars, and the laughter of revelers filling the air. Julian led her to a sleek black car parked under the dim glow of a streetlight. He opened the door for her, a gesture that felt both chivalrous and foreboding. Arya hesitated for a moment, her instincts screaming at her to run, yet something deeper urged her to stay. "Get in," he said, his voice steady but firm. With a deep breath, she climbed into the car, the leather seats enveloping her like a cocoon. Julian slid into the driver's seat, his demeanor shifting back to that of the powerful Mafia boss she had heard whispers about. As he started the engine, Arya couldn't ignore the fact that her life had just taken a sharp turn into the unknown. "Where are we going?" she asked, her voice barely above a whisper. "To a place where you'll be safe," he replied, his eyes focused on the road ahead, "and where we can talk." As they drove through the city, Arya stole glances at Julian, trying to decipher the man behind the facade. There was a complexity to him, a depth that intrigued her, even as it terrified her. He was a man of power, a figure wrapped in mystery and danger, yet there was a flicker of something softer beneath, something that beckoned her to explore. "Why me?" she finally asked, breaking the silence. "What is it about me that caught your attention?" He glanced at her, a hint of vulnerability flashing in his gaze before it was quickly masked. "You remind me of someone I once knew, someone who had fire and passion but couldn't see the dangers lurking around her." Arya's heart raced at his words. "And what happened to her?" Julian's jaw tightened, the shadows of his past flickering across his face. "She got lost in a world that consumed her. I won't let that happen to you." The sincerity in his voice sent a shiver down her spine, and for the first time, Arya felt a connection that transcended their circumstances. There was something between them, a spark ignited by their shared vulnerability. She knew she was stepping into a world filled with peril, yet she couldn't deny the thrill of the unknown that awaited. As they approached a towering building, Julian parked the car and turned to her, his expression serious. "This is where you'll stay for now. It's safe, I promise." Arya took a deep breath, a mix of fear and excitement swirling within her. She was on the precipice of a new chapter, one that could lead to unimaginable heights or devastating falls. But as she looked into Julian's eyes, she felt an unshakable resolve. Whatever lay ahead, she was ready to face it, together with him. As Arya stepped out of Julian's car, her heart raced, and the world around her blurred momentarily. The towering building before her was a striking contrast to the life she had known, a life filled with the rhythms of dance, the warmth of the stage lights, and the intoxicating energy of her performances. This place, with its polished facade and imposing presence, felt both thrilling and daunting. She had entered a realm where power and danger coexisted, and she was acutely aware of the shadows lurking within it. Before she could gather her thoughts, Julian opened the door to the building, ushering her inside. The lobby was lavishly decorated, with marble floors and crystal chandeliers that sparkled like stars against the darkened sky. The scent of expensive cologne mingled with the faint aroma of fresh flowers, creating an atmosphere of opulence that both captivated and intimidated her. Arya glanced around, noting the sleek lines of the furniture and the subtle elegance of the decor. This was a world she had only glimpsed through the lens of her performances, but now it felt tangible and all too real. As they walked through the lobby, Arya couldn't shake the feeling that every eye was on her. The patrons, dressed in tailored suits and elegant dresses, whispered among themselves, their gazes lingering on Julian and then shifting to her. She felt exposed, like a rare artifact on display, and the sensation unsettled her. Yet there was something reassuring in Julian's presence, a protective aura that wrapped around her like a shield. He walked with confidence, exuding a commanding presence that drew attention while simultaneously warding it off. "Stay close," he murmured, his voice low and steady, as they made their way to the elevator. Arya nodded, her heart thumping in her chest. The elevator doors slid open with a soft chime, and they stepped inside. The walls were lined with mirrors, reflecting their images back at them. Julian, the powerful Mafia boss, and Arya, the dancer caught in his orbit. She couldn't help but steal glances at him, studying the way his jaw tightened as the doors closed, sealing them in a private space. As the elevator ascended, silence enveloped them, thick with unspoken words. Arya's mind raced with questions, each one more daunting than the last. What would her life be like now? How long would she remain under Julian's protection? And, most importantly, was she ready to navigate the complexities of a world that seemed to thrive on danger? The elevator chimed again, signaling their arrival on the penthouse floor. The doors opened to reveal an expansive hallway adorned with stunning artwork and plush carpeting that felt luxurious beneath her feet. Julian stepped out first, turning to extend his hand to her. "Welcome to your new home for now," he said, a hint of warmth breaking through his otherwise stoic demeanor. Arya hesitated for a moment before placing her hand in his. The contact sent a jolt of electricity through her, igniting a mixture of excitement and apprehension. She followed him down the hallway, each step pulling her deeper into his world. As they approached a set of double doors, Julian paused, turning to face her. "I know this is overwhelming, but I need you to trust me. You're safe here." She searched his eyes for reassurance, finding a flicker of sincerity in their depths. "I trust you," she replied softly, her voice barely above a whisper. The truth was, she didn't fully understand why she felt this way. There was a connection between them, raw and undeniable, that drew her closer, even as her instincts warned her to be cautious. Julian pushed open the doors, revealing a spacious living area that took her breath away. Floor-to-ceiling windows offered a breathtaking view of the city skyline, illuminated by the glow of streetlights and the distant shimmer of the harbor. The room was elegantly furnished, with a blend of modern and classic styles that created a warm yet sophisticated atmosphere. A plush sofa faced a grand piano, while a sleek dining table sat adjacent to a chic kitchen. This was not just a living space, it was a sanctuary, a stark contrast to the chaotic world outside. "Make yourself at home," Julian said, his voice low and inviting. He stepped aside, allowing her to take it all in. Arya moved further into the room, her fingers brushing against the cool surface of the piano. It was a symbol of artistry and passion, much like her dance. She felt a pang of longing, wishing to express herself through movement rather than words in this moment. Before she could lose herself in thought, Julian's presence loomed closer. "I need to discuss a few things with you," he said, his tone shifting to something more serious. "There are certain rules you need to follow while you're here. I want to keep you safe, and that means being aware of your surroundings." Arya nodded, her heart racing again as she turned to face him. "What kind of rules?" she asked, her curiosity piqued. "First, no one enters this space without my approval. You'll be staying here until the situation is resolved," he explained, his gaze steady. "Second, you need to avoid any unnecessary contact with outsiders. I'll arrange for you to have everything you need, food, clothes, whatever you require. Just don't venture out alone." A sense of foreboding settled in her stomach. Is it really that dangerous? I mean, I didn't see anything unusual that night. Julian's expression darkened slightly, a shadow crossing his features. "You have no idea what you stumbled into, Arya. The world we're in is filled with risks you can't even begin to comprehend. I'm doing this to protect you." The weight of his words hung in the air between them. Arya swallowed hard, feeling the gravity of her situation. She was no longer just a dancer, performing for the elite. She was entwined in a web of danger that threatened to ensnare her. "I don't want to be a burden," she said, her voice trembling slightly. "You're not a burden," he replied firmly, stepping closer. "You're important to me." The admission hung in the air, electric and palpable. Arya's breath caught in her throat, and she felt a rush of warmth flood her cheeks. Important? The word echoed in her mind, filling her with a strange sense of hope and confusion. Was it possible that their connection ran deeper than she had initially thought? Before she could respond, the sound of a knock at the door interrupted their moment. Julian's expression shifted as he turned sharply toward the sound. "Wait here," he instructed, his voice taking on an authoritative edge that brooked no argument. Arya nodded, her heart pounding as Julian moved to answer the door. She could feel her pulse quickening, the anticipation hanging thick in the air. Who could it be? A part of her wanted to sneak a peek, to see the world beyond the safety of this sanctuary, but she held back, knowing that Julian had a reason for his caution. As the door swung open, a tall man with dark hair and a stern expression stepped inside. He was dressed in a crisp suit that spoke of power and authority, and his presence immediately filled the room with an air of tension. Arya instinctively took a step back, unsure of what to expect. "Julian," the man greeted, his voice low and gravelly. "We need to talk." Julian's demeanor shifted, a flicker of something unreadable passing between them. "Not here," he replied tersely, glancing back at Arya. "Stay put. I'll be back in a moment." With that, he stepped out into the hallway, closing the door behind him. Arya was left alone, her mind racing. She could hear snippets of their conversation through the door, their voices low but charged with intensity. Curiosity gnawed at her, but she respected Julian's wishes, knowing that he was doing everything he could to keep her safe. Time stretched on, and as she waited, Arya's thoughts spiraled. She felt like a pawn in a game far beyond her understanding, a game where the stakes were high and the players were ruthless. Yet, even in the midst of her anxiety, she couldn't shake the feeling that she was meant to be here, that her life had taken a turn she never anticipated. Finally, after what felt like an eternity, Julian returned. His expression was serious, but there was a flicker of something softer in his eyes as he approached her. "Sorry about that," he said, running a hand through his hair. "Just some business to take care of." Arya nodded, trying to mask her concern. "Is everything okay?" "For now," he replied, his voice steady but laced with an undercurrent of tension. "But we'll need to stay vigilant. There are eyes everywhere, and I can't afford to let my guard down." The gravity of his words pressed down on her, but there was also a sense of determination igniting within her. "I want to help," she said suddenly, surprising herself with her boldness. He raised an eyebrow, a hint of amusement breaking through his seriousness. "Help? Arya, this isn't a world you can easily navigate. I don't want you to put yourself at risk." "I'm not asking to be reckless," she replied, her voice firm. "But I can't just sit here and wait. I need to know what's going on. If I'm going to be a part of this world, I want to understand it." Julian studied her for a moment, as if weighing her resolve against the dangers that lay ahead. "You're brave," he finally said, a grudging respect evident in his tone. "But bravery can also lead to foolishness. Promise me you'll be careful." "I promise," she said, her heart racing with both fear and excitement. He stepped closer, his gaze piercing through her. "And remember, I won't let anything happen to you. You're mine to protect now." The weight of his words settled between them, and Arya felt a shiver run down her spine. There was something undeniably powerful in his declaration, a promise that anchored her to him in this tumultuous sea of uncertainty. Before she could respond, the tension in the room shifted. Julian's phone buzzed on the table, breaking the moment. He glanced at the screen, his expression tightening once again. "I need to take this," he said, moving away to answer the call. Arya watched him, feeling both helpless and determined. She had stepped into a world where danger lurked around every corner, but she was resolute. She would not be a passive participant in her life. She would embrace this challenge. As Julian spoke on the phone, she took a moment to explore the living area, her curiosity drawing her toward the grand piano. She ran her fingers over the polished keys, recalling the melodies that had once filled her heart with joy. Music had always been her refuge, a place where she could express emotions that words often failed to capture. Suddenly, the weight of her situation pressed down on her. She was no longer just a dancer. She was part of something much larger, a world filled with complexities and dangers. And yet, the thought of Julian, his fierce protectiveness, ignited something within her. He was a man of power and influence, but he was also vulnerable in ways she had begun to uncover. As she lost herself in thought, the door swung open again, and Julian stepped back inside, his expression somber. "We need to talk," he said, his voice low. Arya turned to face him, her heart racing. "What is it?" "There's been a development," he said, his gaze serious. "We're not just dealing with petty threats. There are people who want to use you to get to me." The implications of his words sent a chill down her spine. "What do you mean?" "They know you're here. They're watching. And if they think they can get to me through you, they'll try," he replied, his tone firm. Arya's mind raced, the weight of his revelation crashing over her like a tidal wave. "What do we do?" she asked, her voice trembling slightly. "We stay alert," he said, stepping closer again. "I'll handle the threats, but I need you to promise me you won't do anything reckless. Your safety is my priority." "I promise," she said, feeling the weight of his gaze. "But I won't just sit here waiting. I want to be part of this." Julian studied her for a moment, a mixture of admiration and concern in his expression. "You're not like the others," he finally said, a hint of a smile tugging at the corners of his lips. "Most would run at the first sign of danger. I'm not most people," Arya replied, her determination shining through. He stepped back, nodding slowly. "Okay then, but you need to understand the stakes. This isn't just about us. It's about everything I've built." "I get it," she said, meeting his gaze head-on, "and I want to help you protect it." A moment of silence passed between them, charged with unspoken promises and shared resolve. Arya felt a sense of purpose igniting within her, a fire that had long been dormant. She had no idea what lay ahead, but she was ready to face it, by Julian's side. As they stood together in that lavish penthouse, the city sprawling beneath them, Arya knew that the path before them would be fraught with challenges. But whatever dangers awaited, she was prepared to confront them, fueled by her connection to Julian and the strength she had yet to fully discover within herself. Before you skip, just remember, channels like this only survive if you hit subscribe. Otherwise, stories like this one just disappear. With a deep breath, she turned to Julian, ready to embrace the chaos that awaited them both. The world outside may have been filled with uncertainty, but with him by her side, she was ready to face whatever came next, together. As Arya took in the breathtaking view from the penthouse, the dizzying heights seemed to echo the turmoil within her. The city below pulsated with life, oblivious to the storm brewing in her heart. Julian stood beside her, an imposing figure, the weight of his presence both comforting and unsettling. She could sense the power that radiated from him, a magnetic force that both intimidated and intrigued her. In that moment, she realized she was teetering on the edge of a world far more dangerous than she had ever imagined. "Are you okay?" Julian's voice was low, laced with genuine concern, pulling her from her thoughts. She turned to face him, her pulse quickening at the intensity of his gaze. It was as if he could see right through her, laying bare her fears and uncertainties. "I think so," she replied, her voice barely above a whisper. "It's just a lot to take in." He nodded, his expression softening. "You're safe here, Arya. I won't let anyone hurt you." His words sent a shiver down her spine. She wanted to believe him, to trust that his protection would be enough. But the stark reality of the Mafia world loomed large, like a dark cloud threatening to overshadow them. "But what does that really mean, Julian? What are you involved in?" His jaw tightened, and she could see the internal struggle flickering in his eyes. "I'm not proud of everything I've done, but I've never let anyone in, not like this." He stepped closer, the air charged with tension as he continued. "You've become important to me, Arya. I need you to understand that." The sincerity in his voice made her heart race, and for a moment, all her doubts faded under the weight of his gaze. But then, the reality of their situation came crashing back. "I can't be a part of this world," she insisted, shaking her head. "I can't be a target because of you." Julian reached out, gently placing a hand on her shoulder, grounding her. "You're already a part of it, just by being here. I won't let you go, not without a fight." A warmth spread through her at his words, igniting a spark of defiance within her. She had spent her whole life avoiding trouble, and now here she was, standing on the precipice of a dangerous game. "What if I want to fight too?" she asked, surprising herself with the boldness of her declaration. Julian's lips curled into a smirk, a flicker of admiration in his eyes. "Then we'll fight together." Their moment was abruptly interrupted by a loud knock at the door, jolting them back to reality. Julian's demeanor shifted instantly, his protective instincts kicking in. He turned to face the door, his body tense, a far cry from the vulnerability he had just shown her. "Stay here," he ordered, his voice low and commanding. "Wait," she protested, but he was already moving toward the door, his posture radiating authority. As he opened it, Arya's heart raced. She could see a couple of men standing outside, their expressions serious. One of them, a tall, muscular man with a scar running down his cheek, stepped forward. "Boss," he said, his tone respectful yet urgent, "we need to discuss the situation." Julian's gaze flickered between them, a silent conversation passing in the briefest of moments. "What happened?" His voice held a steely edge, the Mafia boss persona emerging once more. "There's been a breach. Someone's been asking questions about you, about her," the man replied, his eyes darting to Arya briefly before returning to Julian. Arya felt a chill run down her spine at the mention of her name. "What do you mean?" she asked, stepping forward, her voice steady despite the rising panic within her. Julian shot her a warning glance, but she refused to back down. "I deserve to know what's happening, Julian," he sighed, running a hand through his hair in frustration. "It's nothing you need to worry about, Arya. Just stay here." "No," she insisted, crossing her arms defiantly. "If I'm in danger, I need to understand why." For a moment, tension crackled in the air as Julian weighed her request against his protective instincts. Finally, he relented, his expression softening slightly. "Fine, but you have to promise to stay close to me." Arya nodded, determination coursing through her. She was no longer going to be a passive participant in her own life. "I promise." Julian turned back to the men. "What do we know?" The scarred man took a step forward, his face grim. "A few of our contacts have reported suspicious activity near the club. It seems someone's trying to dig up dirt on you, boss. They're not just interested in you. They want to know everything about her as well." Arya's heart dropped. She had always known there were risks involved in getting close to Julian, but now it felt all too real. "What does that mean?" she asked, her voice trembling. "It means we have to be cautious," Julian replied, his tone serious. "I won't let anyone get to you." The gravity of the situation settled heavily in the room, and Arya could feel the weight of his promise. She wanted to believe him, but a nagging fear crept into her heart. What if they find out more? What if they come after me? Julian stepped closer, his eyes intense. "Then I'll make sure you're protected, no matter what it takes. I'm done watching from the sidelines. You're my priority now." His fierce determination ignited a fire within her, a blend of fear and excitement. She had spent so long trying to keep her life simple, but now it felt like a wild dance, a rhythm she couldn't resist. "So what's the plan?" "We need to stay one step ahead," he replied, his mind already racing with possibilities. "I can't let you perform at the club until we know it's safe. It's too risky." Arya's heart sank. Dance was her life, her passion. "But I can't just stop performing," she argued. "It's what I do. It's who I am." Julian's gaze softened as he considered her words. and for a brief moment she could see the conflict within him. "I know that, but your safety comes first. We can find another way to keep you connected to the art you love without putting you in danger." "What about my dreams?" she pressed, frustration bubbling up. "I can't just throw everything away because of a threat I can't even see." He hesitated, then reached for her hand, holding it tightly. "I won't take away your dreams, Arya, but we need to be strategic. For now, let's focus on keeping you safe while we figure this out." "What about my dreams?" she pressed, frustration bubbling up. "I can't just throw everything away because of a threat I can't even see." He hesitated, then reached for her hand, holding it tightly. "I won't take away your dreams, Arya, but we need to be strategic. For now, let's focus on keeping you safe while we figure this out." The tension in the air faded slightly, but the reality of their situation loomed large. "So what do we do?" she asked, looking into his eyes, searching for answers. "I'll increase security around you. No more dancing at the club until we know it's clear. I'll keep you close, always, and I'll find out who's behind this." As he spoke, Arya felt a wave of gratitude wash over her. Despite the chaos surrounding them, Julian's unwavering commitment made her feel like she had someone in her corner for the first time in a long while. "Thank you," she said softly, squeezing his hand. "I appreciate it." Just then, the scarred man cleared his throat, pulling their attention back to the present. "We need to move quickly. I suggest we go to a safe house until we have more information." Arya's pulse quickened at the thought of being whisked away from her life, but the urgency in his voice made it clear they didn't have time to waste. "Safe house?" she echoed, uncertainty creeping in. "Trust me," Julian said, his eyes locked onto hers. "You'll be safe with me, but we need to go now." With a heavy heart, Arya nodded, feeling the weight of her choices pressing down on her. She had been pulled into a world of danger, one that threatened to consume her. Yet, as she stood next to Julian, she couldn't help but feel a flicker of hope. Together, they were facing the unknown, and somehow that felt exhilarating. As they moved out of the penthouse, Arya's mind raced with thoughts of her life, her dreams, and the uncertainty that lay ahead. She was stepping into a shadowy realm, but with Julian by her side, she felt a strange sense of empowerment. As they descended the stairs, the tension in the air was palpable. Each step felt like a countdown, a reminder that danger was lurking just beyond their reach. "Stay close to me," Julian instructed, his voice steady yet firm. The moment they reached the ground floor, Arya's heart raced. The lobby was bustling with activity, but she felt a sense of isolation amidst the crowd. They moved through the throngs of people, Julian's presence shielding her from prying eyes. As they approached the exit, Julian paused, scanning the street outside. "We'll take my car," he said, determination etched on his face. Before Arya could respond, he wrapped an arm protectively around her shoulders, guiding her through the door. The cool night air hit her, a stark contrast to the warmth radiating from him. The black SUV parked outside gleamed under the streetlights, a symbol of the power and prestige that came with Julian's world. He opened the door for her, and she slid inside, her heart pounding as he followed suit. Once inside, the tension shifted. Julian's eyes were focused, his jaw set. "We'll go to a secure location, and I'll make arrangements to figure out who's behind this." Arya nodded, feeling a mix of fear and excitement as they pulled away from the curb. The streets blurred past, a chaotic dance of lights and shadows. She couldn't help but feel that their lives had irrevocably changed in the span of a single night. With Julian in control, she felt a strange sense of safety, even amidst the uncertainty. But as they drove further into the night, she couldn't shake the feeling that danger was closing in. "Where exactly are we going?" she finally asked, breaking the silence that hung heavy in the air. "To a safe house I own," he replied, his eyes on the road ahead. "It's discreet and well-guarded. You'll be safe there until this blows over." "Will you be there with me?" she asked, her voice barely above a whisper. "I wouldn't leave your side," he promised, glancing at her briefly before returning his focus to the road. As they drove deeper into the city, Arya's heart raced. She was leaving behind everything she knew, stepping into a world filled with shadows and uncertainty. But she was also stepping closer to Julian, and that thought alone sparked a flicker of hope within her. With every mile that passed, she felt the weight of her decision pressing down on her. This was a path she had never expected to walk, but with Julian by her side, she knew she was ready to confront whatever awaited them. The safe house loomed ahead, a nondescript building that blended into its surroundings. As they pulled up, Julian's demeanor shifted once again. He was all business now, his protective instincts on high alert. "Stay close," he instructed, his voice low but firm. Arya nodded, her heart pounding in her chest as they exited the vehicle. She walked beside him, feeling the tension in the air, a constant reminder of the danger that lurked just out of sight. As they entered the building, the atmosphere shifted. The walls were thick, muffling the sounds of the outside world. Julian led her down a narrow hallway, stopping at a door marked with a simple number. "This will be your room," he said, opening the door to reveal a cozy space furnished with a bed, a small desk, and a window that overlooked the street. Arya stepped inside, her heart racing as she took in her surroundings. It was a far cry from the chaos of her life, a sanctuary amidst the storm. "It's nice," she said, forcing a smile. Julian studied her for a moment, then stepped inside, closing the door behind him. "I'll have someone keep watch outside. You won't be alone." The weight of his words settled heavily in the room. "Thank you, Julian," she replied, sincerity lacing her voice, "for everything." He took a step closer, his eyes locking onto hers. "I mean it, Arya. I won't let anything happen to you. Just stay here and trust me." As he turned to leave, she felt a pang of disappointment. "Wait," she called out, stopping him in his tracks. He turned back, his expression curious. "What is it?" I don't want to feel alone," she admitted, her vulnerability surfacing. A flicker of understanding crossed his face, and he stepped closer again. "You won't be alone. I'll come back as soon as I can." "Can't you stay for a little while?" she asked, her heart racing. He hesitated, torn between his responsibilities and her needs. Finally, he relented, sitting on the edge of the bed. "All right, just for a moment." As he sat beside her, a sense of warmth enveloped them. The air was thick with unspoken words, the tension between them palpable. "I'm scared," she confessed, her voice trembling slightly. "I've never been in a situation like this before." Julian's expression softened, his vulnerability shining through. "I know, I've been there too, but I promise you, we'll get through this together." His words wrapped around her like a protective shield, and for the first time since their world had been turned upside down, she felt a flicker of hope. "I trust you," she said, her voice steady. He leaned closer, their eyes locked in a moment that felt electric. Good, because together, we're unstoppable. The connection between them deepened, the tension swirling around them like a dance of flames. In that moment, amidst the chaos and uncertainty, Arya knew she had chosen the right path. With Julian by her side, she was ready to face whatever darkness awaited them. As they sat together in the quiet of the safe house, Arya's heart swelled with a mixture of fear and exhilaration. They were two souls bound by fate, navigating the treacherous waters of the Mafia world together. And as she leaned into him, feeling his warmth envelop her, she couldn't help but believe that love could flourish even in the most dangerous of circumstances. In the depths of uncertainty, they had found each other, and together, they would carve their own path through the shadows. The tension in the room was palpable, a heavy blanket of uncertainty that threatened to suffocate them. Arya sat across from Julian, the flickering candlelight casting shadows on their faces, illuminating the worry etched in his expression. Outside, the city pulsed with life, unaware of the storm brewing within its heart. Julian's dark eyes held a storm of emotions, anger, fear, but most importantly, a fierce determination. "Arya," he began, his voice low and filled with urgency, "you need to understand the gravity of this situation. If they know you're connected to me, they won't hesitate to use you as leverage." She felt a jolt of fear at his words, but she squashed it down, refusing to show weakness. "I'm not afraid of them, Julian. I can handle myself." He leaned closer, his intensity making her heart race, but there was a softness in his gaze that reassured her. "This isn't just about you. It's about us, our future. I won't let anything happen to you." Before she could respond, a loud crash echoed from outside, followed by the unmistakable sound of shouting. Arya's heart dropped. What was that? Julian's expression hardened, and he quickly moved to the window, peering through the curtains. "It's them. They've found us." Panic clawed at Arya's insides as Julian turned to her, urgency etched on his features. "We need to move, now." He grabbed her hand, pulling her toward the back of the safe house. Her pulse raced as they navigated through the dimly lit hallway, the weight of their situation crashing down on her. This was more than just a dance with danger. This was a fight for survival. As they reached a side door leading to a narrow alley, Julian paused, his grip on her hand tightening. "Stay close to me. No matter what happens, don't let go." Arya nodded, her heart pounding in rhythm with his words. They slipped outside into the cool night air, the shadows wrapping around them like a cloak. The distant sounds of chaos echoed in the alley, heightening her senses. This wasn't just a game anymore. It was a deadly reality. Suddenly, a figure emerged from the darkness, a silhouette that made Arya's breath hitch in her throat. It was Marco, one of Julian's trusted men, his expression grave. "Julian," he called, urgency in his tone. "They're closing in. We need to move fast." "Get her to safety," Julian commanded, his voice low and steady despite the chaos surrounding them. "I'll handle this." "No," Arya protested, panic rising in her chest. "I'm not leaving you." "Arya, you have to trust me," he replied, his voice firm but laced with concern. "I can't protect you if you're right here. I need you to be safe." Tears of frustration stung her eyes, but deep down she understood the truth of his words. She nodded reluctantly, feeling like she was being torn in two. "Okay, but you have to promise me you'll come back." Julian's gaze softened, and for a brief moment, the weight of the world lifted as he stepped closer, cupping her face in his hands. "I promise, I'll always come back for you." With one last lingering look, he turned to Marco, who was already moving toward a nearby vehicle. Arya felt a surge of fear as she watched them disappear into the shadows. She was left standing in the alley, the echo of their footsteps fading into the night. The world felt impossibly quiet as she took a deep breath, forcing herself to remain calm. She had to trust Julian. He was the one who had fought for her, who had risked everything to keep her safe. But as she stood there, the weight of fear settled heavily on her shoulders. What if he didn't come back? A sudden noise shattered the silence, a crash followed by a shout. Arya's instinct kicked in, and she darted toward the sound, her heart racing. She had to know what was happening. As she rounded the corner, she caught sight of a group of men clad in dark clothing, their faces obscured by shadows. Julian was in the center, his posture tense as he faced them, his body language radiating a fierce protectiveness. The sight of him standing strong amidst the chaos sent a rush of adrenaline through her veins. "Get out of here, Julian," she shouted, desperation clawing at her throat. He turned, his eyes locking onto hers, and in that moment she could see the determination shining through. "Stay back, Arya." But she couldn't just stand there and watch. She had to do something. She took a step forward, her heart pounding in her chest. "I'm not leaving you." "Damn it, Arya." Julian's voice cut through the night like a whip, but it was too late. The men had noticed her, their attention shifting from Julian to her. "Look what we have here," one of them sneered, stepping forward with a predatory glint in his eyes. The little dancer thinks she can play with the big boys. Julian's expression darkened, and Arya felt a surge of fear for what might happen next. "Get away from her," he commanded, his voice low and dangerous. The man laughed, a chilling sound that sent shivers down her spine. "Or what? You'll protect her like some lost puppy? You think your little gang of misfits can save you?" Julian's jaw clenched, and Arya could see the storm brewing within him. He was about to unleash a fury that would shake the very foundation of the Mafia world. But before he could act, the man lunged towards her, reaching for her arm. Instinctively, she sidestepped, her training as a dancer kicking in as she evaded his grasp. "Get away from me!" she shouted, adrenaline coursing through her veins. But the man wasn't deterred. He lunged again, this time his grip tightening around her wrist. "You belong to him, and we're going to make him pay." In that moment, fury ignited within Julian, and with a swift movement, he was upon them, shoving the man away from Arya with a force that sent him stumbling back. "You touch her, and I swear you'll regret it," he growled, every word laced with a promise of violence. The other men surrounding Julian shifted, their expressions wary as they assessed the situation. Arya's heart raced as she watched him stand protectively in front of her, a fierce guardian against the darkness looming around them. "Julian, we can't let them take me," she said, her voice trembling with determination. "I won't let that happen," he replied, his eyes fierce and unwavering. "But you need to trust me to handle this." As the tension escalated, the leader of the group stepped forward, his demeanor calm yet menacing. "You think you can protect her? You're just a pawn in this game, Julian. You have no idea the forces you're up against." Julian's eyes narrowed, and Arya could feel the heat radiating off him, a fire ignited by the threat they posed. "I don't care who you think you are. You will never lay a hand on her." The leader smirked, his confidence infuriating. "We'll see about that. You're playing a dangerous game, and you've already lost." With that, he signaled to his men, and in an instant, chaos erupted. Julian moved with a fluid grace, his instincts kicking in as he fought to protect her. Arya's heart raced as she watched him, a fierce protector in the midst of a storm, and she realized just how much she loved him. She couldn't stay on the sidelines any longer. In the heat of the moment, she spotted a metal pipe lying on the ground, discarded and forgotten. Without thinking, she lunged for it, her grip tightening around the cold metal as she brandished it like a weapon. "Get away from him!" she shouted, her voice fierce as she swung the pipe towards the nearest man, catching him off guard. The impact sent him stumbling backward, and Julian's eyes widened in surprise and pride. "Arya!" he exclaimed, a mix of disbelief and admiration in his tone. But the battle wasn't over. The leader of the group charged toward her, his face twisted in rage. "You think you can fight us?" he spat, but Arya stood her ground, fueled by her determination to protect the man she loved. With a swift movement, she swung the pipe again, aiming for his legs. He dodged just in time, but Julian took advantage of the opening, launching himself at the man and tackling him to the ground. Arya's heart raced as she fought alongside Julian, their movements synchronized as they defended against the onslaught. She could feel the adrenaline pumping through her veins, igniting a fire within her that she never knew existed. In that moment, they were a team, united against the darkness threatening to engulf them. Every swing of the pipe, every move they made was a testament to their bond, a bond forged in the fires of adversity. But as the chaos continued, an unsettling realization washed over her. They were outnumbered, and the odds were stacked against them. The leader, recovering from Julian's tackle, rose to his feet and sneered at them. "You think this is a game? You're in way over your head." Julian's jaw clenched, his determination unwavering. I will protect her, no matter the cost. Then you'll pay the price, the leader hissed, signaling his men to close in. Fear clawed at Arya's throat, but she refused to back down. "We are not afraid of you," she shouted, her voice steady, even as adrenaline coursed through her veins. The leader laughed, a cruel sound that echoed in the alley. "You should be." But just as the men began to close in, a blaring horn cut through the night, followed by the roar of an engine. Arya turned to see a sleek black car speeding down the alley. "Julian!" she shouted, her heart racing as the vehicle came to a screeching halt beside them. The door swung open and Marco's face appeared, urgency etched across his features. "Get in, now!" Without hesitating, Julian grabbed Arya's hand and they both dove into the car, Marco slamming the door behind them just as the men lunged forward. "Go!" Julian shouted, his voice fierce as Marco hit the gas, the car lurching forward and leaving the chaos behind. Arya gasped, her heart racing, a mix of fear and exhilaration coursing through her. They had escaped, but the danger wasn't over yet. She turned to Julian, who was already looking at her with an intensity that sent shivers down her spine. "Are you okay?" he asked, concern etched in his features. "I'm fine," she replied, though her heart was still pounding. "What about you?" "I'm not the one who just swung a metal pipe at a Mafia goon," he said, a hint of admiration in his voice. Arya felt a rush of pride at his words, a warmth spreading through her. "I couldn't just stand by and watch you fight alone." He smiled, a brief moment of relief amidst the chaos. "That's my girl." But the moment was short-lived as Marco glanced in the rearview mirror, his expression tense. "They're not far behind. We need to get to the safe house." "Do you think it's safe?" Julian asked, his voice steady but filled with concern. Marco nodded grimly. "For now, but we need to move quickly." As they sped through the streets, Arya's mind raced with thoughts of what had just happened. They were in deep, deeper than she had ever anticipated. But as she glanced at Julian, his fierce determination illuminated by the streetlights, she felt a spark of hope amidst the uncertainty. They would face whatever came next together. When they finally arrived at the safe house, Arya's heart raced as they stepped inside, the familiar surroundings offering a sense of comfort amidst the storm. Julian moved with purpose, quickly securing the doors and windows, his protective instincts in full swing. "Stay close to me," he murmured, his eyes scanning the room as if the shadows themselves were enemies. Arya nodded, her heart swelling with affection and admiration for him. He was her protector, her fierce warrior in a world that threatened to tear them apart. As they settled into the safe house, a heavy silence enveloped them, the weight of the night hanging in the air. Arya could feel the tension radiating off Julian, his body coiled like a spring, ready to unleash its fury. "Julian," she said softly, stepping closer, "we need to talk about what just happened." He turned to her, his expression a mix of frustration and vulnerability. "I know, but right now we need to focus on keeping you safe." "I can handle myself," she insisted, her voice steady despite the fear coursing through her. "But I won't stand by while you fight my battles for me." Julian's gaze softened, and he took a step closer, his presence grounding her. "I don't want you to fight. I want to protect you." "I appreciate that, but I can't just be a damsel in distress," she replied, her heart racing. "I want to be by your side, fighting for our future." For a moment, they stood in silence, the tension swirling around them like a dance of flames. Then Julian exhaled slowly, his expression shifting as he took her hands in his. "You're right. We're in this together. I don't want to keep you in the dark." As he spoke, Arya felt a rush of warmth at his words, a sense of unity that fortified her resolve. "Then tell me everything," she urged, her voice steady. Julian nodded, his gaze intense as he began to share the weight of his world. The complexities of the Mafia, the threats that loomed like shadows over them, and the dangerous game they were now a part of. "I will do whatever it takes to keep you safe," he said, his voice low and fierce. "But we need to be smart about this. We can't let them manipulate us." "I understand," Arya replied, her heart swelling with determination. "But I won't let fear dictate our choices. We're stronger together." Julian's eyes softened, and for a brief moment, the weight of their reality lifted as they found solace in each other's presence. "We're unstoppable together," he murmured, the sincerity in his voice igniting a fire within her. The connection between them deepened, the tension swirling around them like a dance of flames. In that moment, amidst the chaos and uncertainty, Arya knew she had chosen the right path. With Julian by her side, she was ready to face whatever darkness awaited them. As they sat together in the quiet of the safe house, Arya's heart swelled with a mixture of fear and exhilaration. They were two souls bound by fate, navigating the treacherous waters of the Mafia world together. And as she leaned into him, feeling his warmth envelop her, she couldn't help but believe that love could flourish even in the most dangerous of circumstances. In the depths of uncertainty, they had found each other, and together they would carve their own path through the shadows.